Hi everyone, it's Melissa. I wanted to try something on Instagram. Just film something in my backyard before I say goodbye to a month where I got out of the New York area. And last day of summer, kids are on Zoom learning about their public school. Lots of thoughts. I'm spontaneously sitting down in my backyard and I'm thinking about this pandemic, and I'm thinking about what since the very beginning of the pandemic, what's been on my mind, what I was immediately focused on, and have constantly been focused on, which is both literally and metaphorically a question: how do we go on singing? Right away, I thought to myself, I had to get out there and sing, because that's what I know how to do. I just thought to myself, I got on those shows, I was invited to sing, I figured out how to sing in my closet, I figured out how to sing, make videos and sing in my house. How do we go on singing? And it just matters to me as a performer and a, singer, but also more broadly as a parent and definitely as a writer, this question: how do we go on singing? In a few months, it went from being our common pleasure, everyone's common pleasure, to being like toxic event. Nothing is more of a super spreader than a public concert. We were the angels in the choir, and now we're Typhoid Mary, right? So how do we perform? How do we perform I'm performing like in my closet practically. And in videos. How do we perform in closets and videos? Or eventually, maybe masked in public? Just how do we go on with our art? But I also mean it metaphorically. How do we go on singing means how do we go on making music, reassuring our children that art matters, that dance matters, and can be made. How do we go on, teaching? And inspiring at a time like this, at a time when schools are like hospital zones. Schools are like hospital zones, and inspiration seems kind of flat and fatuous. How do we make music in a dark time? So for the next few weeks, I have an idea. I'm going to get out and talk to some people, talk to a lot of people, and talk about the crisis of music, which is really the crisis of hope. And one of the first people that I wanted to talk with about this and focus on this problem with comes to us from Zimbabwe. And simultaneously, he takes part in the two worlds that I know a lot about. I am a tennis mom. Many of you know that. And he's also a musician and has a deep understanding, as a music teacher and a musician, about this crisis of hope. And so I really enjoyed this conversation, so I'm going to share this conversation with you. We talked about TikTok, we talked about violins, we talked about outdoor performance, and we talked about masks and the human smile and music and masks. So I hope this is the first of many conversations about music, playing, teaching, kids, and meaning. I hope it's the first of many conversations, and I hope that it gets you thinking and has us connecting on this crisis of hope, the crisis of music.
My name is Levy Mwanza. I teach music, mostly African music. I'm from Zimbabwe, and I love to teach kids mostly, but it's not limited to kids. I can teach adults too, but kids are more fun to work with, and just a preference, but it's not limited to kids.
Okay, and you also you work year-round?
Yeah, I work year-round. As long as the weather permits, whether it's outside or inside. Music is very dynamic, and you can play music as long as your body permits to be enjoying yourself playing any instrument you are, either in the snow or in the sun. You can enjoy yourself doing it. It's just fine.
Now, the reason I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions, because we're sort of just new friends and everything, and it came up that we were both musicians. We met through my husband, who's a tennis player. And to meet a musician right now, end of August 2020, is a really, really weird moment. I've been teaching myself, and I have children going back to school, so I'm interested both in how you're dealing with kids and how you're dealing with music, because all summer I've been imagining, oh, I could sing if I needed to. I sing outside. Are you going to teach outside? Are you going to... There's problems with Zoom because we cover our mouths. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. And I'd also love to hear your thoughts about making music outside. Just those two things would be so interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, because it's a learning process. We have never dealt with this before, and everybody's scrambling to kind of figure out how to go about it. When you're teaching music, it's more important to teach, live. When your classes, you are live, it's easier that way. When you can teach the elements right there to your students and you can instruct right there, visually and, physically, it's easier. And now this pandemic has just pushed us let us push the boundaries to say, take the physical part out of it and just do it just visually, push it further and try and do it without the physical part.
So you are teaching on Zoom?
I haven't done it on Zoom, but I would love to do it on Zoom. Since, most of my students were little kids, so it has been hard for me to kind of get my classes going with the little kids, because it has been a touchy topic to have kids to learn and to kind of have kids in groups like that. But now things are opening up. Now parents are getting schooled and they are learning that, this can go on and have these classes go on and you can set up. But some people have been doing it,
Do you teach in a school?
Yes, I teach in a school.
They didn't go straight to Zoom in March and April?
No, they didn't go straight to Zoom. Everything was just shut down. Everything
so
was...
you just lost all your students for that period?
Yeah, everything was just shut down and nothing was going on.
So no music, March, April?
No music. If it was music, it was just my personal music that I was just playing and writing down whatever I could.
For yourself?
For myself. But, I
you
went...
lost touch with children?
Yes.
For a time.
And
then in the summer, you've been teaching tennis and doing music as well, outdoors.
Not music outdoors, because there's no way to do out. If you do music outdoors, it attracts a lot of people, and that has not been allowed. So when you play music, it attracts a lot of people.
I had the same problem out at Sag Harbor. They wanted me to do an outdoor concert, but they were afraid I would attract.
Yes, it will attract people, and most of my instruments are African. They're African instruments. The minute you bang on one instrument, it attracts people. Even if you don't play the instrument, the minute you bring it up to set it up, it looks so different, and people want to know how it sounds before you even play it. So it's hard to even start playing it. People will just gather around, and it's against the norm. And even if people are, social distancing and keeping 6 feet apart, it just creates a chaotic atmosphere that, what are you doing?
Would you normally, at the tennis academy, play tennis with the kids and then do music? Would there be a music program? It's such a great idea.
We normally have at camp, a day at the carnival, or, we pick a day or 2 days that we have music. I bring the instruments and have a music day for the kids. We just play for the kids.
I can't wait till next year. I'm going to make it the biggest festival that ever happened in the tennis children tennis community. You have met your producer. I'm so happy.
We did.
Patrick has. You're my soulmate in tennis. I didn't even know.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, the tennis club will be. It's like so cool. Tennis and noise doesn't go well, and the tennis lessons are going on the other 15 courts next to us, and on the grass with the kids' house. We have got kids banging on the drums and making all the chaotic noise and dancing and playing music. And then
last year.
No, even it happened like 3 days ago.
Your drums were there.
Yeah, and then
What
people.
What are they doing there?
They played. Now I wrote a program. This time it was different. It was not just playing. I wanted, because in this era, like we said, we are talking of a different era where we have kids are TikToking. Kids are in front of the camera a lot, and it's easier to dance to the camera than to play an instrument because they don't feel like they're, making good music. Their voices, they are not trusting their voices to be nice, or they're not taught to express themselves through singing. So my idea, that's my personal,
Yeah, TikTok's a real problem for me too.
that's my personal observation. It's like TikTok, it's easy. You turn the camera on and then you're just TikTok. But the music they are playing on is somebody else. But we have got so many musicians who are not expressing themselves because they don't have the teacher, they don't have the time, and even if the teacher is there, they can't interact with the teacher the way the teachers know how to, because there is a change of dynamic in the way the teachers know how to teach.
Amazing. So you chose to bring the drums to the tennis camp even this week just to hope that you could give one at a time a chance
Yes.
to play and control it?
Exactly. That's how I wrote the program. Even I brought 15 instruments, different instruments.
Separate them?
And then I asked they're little kids, I asked each and every kid if they have seen any instrument. And also it was a teaching process to make them understand that these are instruments that can be played. And then whoever knows the instruments plays it. That was the game that I created and said,
And you clean
you
the
name it,
instrument, give
yeah.
it to each one, you keep it clean, right?
Yes, you name it, you play it. So even if you don't know it, I'll tell you the name, but you still play the instrument. So
Did they know? Like, what were the instruments called?
I had a violin, I had a djembe, I had congas, I had marimbas, I had maracas, I had tambourines, I had
would know some of
shekerays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea was to say you have to make music for yourself. But for this program that I did, I didn't know that the violin was going to be highlighted so much. Every kid, there were 32 kids in there, all of them wanted to play the violin.
And did you have to clean it between each kid?
That was hard for me to do it, to clean it, and every kid was just crying to play the violin.
At least it's wood. I think wood is a little better.
Yeah, every kid was just wanted to play the violin. So what I did, it's like they are kids, the same kids in the camp again. So we just did outside. It was outside.
Yeah.
So we just said, I concentrated on playing the other instrument, and then I took one counselor, and then I took a far out, and I said, we'll pick one kid at a time, and that kid will go and have 2 minutes of just rattling the violin far away, and then come back, and then she'll clean it, and then someone comes back, and then that's the only way I had to manage that situation. But my idea,
Who went with them? A teacher, a music teacher, or they just did it themselves for fun? Like they would just play it?
one counselor who had an idea of a violin just goes far out.
Knows how to play the violin.
Yeah, and then we'll send one little kid to teach her how to hold the violin and just go, even if it's out of note, but just to.
And to go away so that no other kids would come and
Yes, so the other kids are distracted by the drum, and then so the idea was to say, just to instill an idea that maybe one day this kid, or they go home and tell their parents that today I played the violin to their parents, instead of just wanting to TikTok or their big sisters TikToking, and then the day they say, oh, I played the violin, oh, I played some congas, oh, I played maracas, mama. It's a different situation that will create, you never know. There's so many musicians we have now who will tell you that my first instrument is a guitar that was given by a stranger, or my grandfather, or a flute that I was given by, or a recorder that I was given by.
You might be that person who let them touch it.
Yeah, just
So you have other problems beside the pandemic and germs and group mentality and group closeness. You have a problem as an educator, which is, of course, I have the same as a mother, so I'm so glad I sat down to talk to you, of TikTok. You're just noticing the power of TikTok.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I'm not saying I don't like it. I so like it, and I want it to be part of, our civilization. I want it to be part of who we are.
Right.
But it focuses everything else on just one way of what we have to teach with. We have to teach, yes, we have to teach. I love to watch kids dance on TikTok. I love to watch them dance because I teach dance too. And that now is per se, I look at Johnny, who's learning how to play piano. He cannot do the same way as his sister, who's just shaking, her moves on TikTok. Even though he's good with the piano or just mixing the music or beatboxing or doing anything else, playing the music, it will take him more time to be recognized than the person who just got long hair, shakes it nice, and be recognized on TikTok. But also, it's about who teaches who. You teach yourself to be on TikTok, and that's it. But for you, it takes this super excellent and good player to teach himself how to play an instrument extraordinarily, to need to work. And that is, self-esteem, to teach yourself to do that.
And kids aren't doing that. They're getting passive. They're doing everything on the computer. So you want to get them applying themselves to the process of learning an instrument. Yeah.
That self-esteem now is maybe that's what TikTok has to help us with. To say, how can you help the kid who plays the guitar to have that self-esteem to get in front of TikTok? And how can
TikTok could do that. Maybe TikTok could say, play your guitar for
us.
us.
Have an app or have something that entices a guitar player the same way it has for the dancer. Say, TikTok has got an app that will make a guitar player come in front of the camera and be this. The same, it's a challenge.
I love it.
A drummer, a chimes player or a triangle. Because kids are brutal. In high school, kids are brutal. The kid who plays the triangle, and then the kids who play the snare, the kid who plays the snare looks down on the kid who plays the triangle, maybe look down on that's how they are, kids. And as parents, we may not look at it that way. It's like, my kid is in the band, he plays this. But when they are in a group, kids are brutal to each other. As a teacher who works with kids, you have to be vigilant and work with kids and teach them constantly. These are not the things. When it's a band, when it's a group, every instrument is the same, no matter that. But not all kids are like that, but 1 in a million, you always see kids being brutal to each other. They look down on each other, or a kid who can't play good, or this or that. And those are the things you have to constantly fight as a teacher and improvise and make sure that you make all these kids come up and say, you don't laugh at one another. In the African culture, discord is not a problem. If you sing out of chord, you're still part of us. You don't kick somebody out because they can't sing. If you can't sing, we just have to keep pushing you until you are such a better singer, come better, or just do something.
Do you think like kids around here are just, you're either good or you're not good, and then
they
cut you off?
Yes, and then it also happens with professionalism, because there is so much.
Must be something.
Yes,
you're looking at both of your professions.
There is so much professionalism out here. You have to. This is how you do it. You go into college. If you do this, you're gonna get this. You're gonna get a job. You're gonna get this. That's how it happens. And then for African culture, it's not so much professionalism. It's like you do something, you get something new, just try it. Take it in as yours. One day you'll be better. It doesn't matter how much bad you are, just keep doing it. You don't kick somebody out because they're not good.
Right.
But if they have got effort to come, it means that something good is in them. So you don't throw anybody out because they're not good.
Right.
Who are you to say they're not good?
Right.
Even if you are good, it's your job to make them good.
Victoria, my daughter, have you ever seen her play tennis at your club? My eldest? No, she's too tall. She's a 14-year-old.
I have seen her when she was
little.
She's
a superstar now. She's going off to Chris Everts. She's amazing. But she has a quote, Arthur Ashe, her favorite quote is, "Every day start where you are." She never has this idea that you have to be at the top of the game. Arthur Ashe said, every day start where you are. So that way she's where you are. So she's not dealing with, those other girls are better than me. And she's literally, that's like always, she has it on her wall. She says it. When she's asked what her favorite quote is, she always says that. So that's a really good point you're making, which is that kids are getting way too professional. All right, so let's just say you're having this summer, you've been able to bring instruments to the tennis club, and you were able to get some kids to play. You're thinking about TikTok. Now you're thinking about the school year starting. So before we wrap up, what do you feel? You're going to put a mask on, your warm smile. You said that a mask is hard for kids to even when they meet you. Right?
But my music teacher used to say, you can't play music without a smile. That was, I started playing music when I was in third grade, 1983. And my first music teacher said to me, you can never play an instrument without a smile, no matter how good you are. You have to be good at the instrument, but it will be complemented by, and he used to do this.
Smile.
Because if you do not show your teeth, it does not resonate how good you are. And from there onwards, I realized how it is. It tells a story. The instrument I'm playing, and then I'm not happy, I'm sorrowful, and I'm not even into it, then am I playing an instrument or an instrument is playing me? That kind of story. So now we are being challenged. We have to wear a mask. And the smile, like I said, for me, I'm a big guy, and people see me and they're scared, and I tone them down by saying, hey, I may be big, but I'm also a lovely person by a smile. And now it's under a mask.
And tell me about the thing with the pictures that we were talking about. That's an idea.
It's an idea just to have my best picture with a smile, and then put it here when I'm teaching. For kids, it's very important to say, yeah, I've got a mask, but my picture is right here or right there. For kids, it's just, nice. So they see my beautiful face and a smile. They see it either here or there. They see it there. For adults, the big face shield, so they can constantly see and hear my smile that, I'm not mad, I'm smiling, I'm happy. Because music, most part, even at a funeral when you're playing music, it just brings sorrows down.
When do you start teaching? You start next week?
Oh, no, I'm not. The school I'm working with now, I don't think this music is going to be included. So I'm like, so I'm also happy because I'm scared. I'm scared because, I don't know what the situation is like. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to wait and see where it's going to take us. But I'd love to go back and, be able to work with kids because they're just amazing. And I was just looking back at videos in my classroom where we used to play and be happy, and just this is what used to be, and it's not anymore.
And you're not going to be on the staff for this year, or
no,
the music program's just not happening.
It's not, and the schools are, it's tight for the schools, and I don't blame them, and I'm just gonna wait until they open it up.
God, I'm going to be there when you open it up. I can't wait to get to know your plans. We're going to get this to happen.
Yeah,
right?
when they open it up.
I would fist bump you right now. I can't do anything to show you. I think you're amazing, and thank you for talking a little bit about. I'm very interested in the non-music that's happening right now. You're canceled. Yeah. Broadway is my field, and it's closed.
Yeah.
Artists like you, all around. There's artists everywhere. And as I'm just finding out, there's a great artist in my husband's tennis club. And we're all right now not able to do it entirely. And thank you for talking, and thank you for making music with the kids as best you could outside.
Yeah, it's amazing because, grassroots is a very important thing in anything, in sports, in music, in anything, grassroots. And we tend to forget about grassroots. Now, we've got the best paid athlete in the world. Looking at him play, and we want to watch him play every day. But we forget about the one who's being born today, who's going to be taking over from that person.
We have to think about the kids.
Yeah, we don't even think about that now, and we want people who are up there teaching or working with those to think about that too, because hey, what are you expecting? What are you expecting? You are today, but you have to hold what's going to come after you for the people who will be there when you're gone.
I hear you.
Because when you're gone, you want people who are there to say, oh, he was here and he helped us to have this. And if you don't do that, then it's not going to be a good story. And you're just going to be here and have millions of dollars and not help the people who are going to come after you. It doesn't make sense for me. Of course, I can't help with that, but,
The pandemic makes it harder, too.
It makes it harder, but,
So now we're all thinking how we're going to solve this.
We still have to do it. The kids who are born today, they still need to have their tomorrow. And we have to help them whatever way we can today. People are talking about wearing a mask and trying to figure out the best way, to deal with today so that we can tell them this is how we dealt with on this day. So they understand. We write it down for them to read and say, oh yeah, this is what they did on this day. Even if it's not going to be, they've gotten ways better. They will still understand that, oh yeah, this is what they did.
To help us.
Yeah, to help us.
At this time.
We
don't know how long this is going to be.
We don't. And
TikTok could help, and what we're doing as teachers
yes,
is going to help. So let's keep going and keep talking.
Yes.
Over time.
Yep.
Hopefully this is interview number 1, and we'll check in with you.
Okay.
Bless your heart. Thanks for talking.
You're welcome.
So thank you for listening, and like I said, I will try to sit down with as many people as I can. As a performer, definitely as a parent, and as a writer, I have a lot of questions, and I just want to talk to people and hear what they have to say about how do we go on singing? How do we go on singing? And the crisis of music and the crisis of hope. So we'll see. We'll see who I talk to next about teaching, music, playing, children, and meaning. See you next time.